Good morning/afternoon/evening, everyone. Let's talk about something that shapes every relationship we have, trust. We often think we know people because of how they act when things are good, but true character isn't about the highlight reel. It's about what happens in the small moments, the difficult moments, the moments when no one is watching. If you really want to understand someone's character, don't watch how they treat their boss, their friends, or people they admire. Watch how they treat those who hold no power, those who have nothing to offer in return. This is where you'll see their true nature, because kindness, respect, and decency should never be transactional. It's easy to be polite when there's something to gain. It's easy to be kind when the world is watching. But what about when there's no audience, no reward? How does this person behave toward the waiter who brings their food, the janitor cleaning up after them, the stranger who holds the door open? Do they acknowledge them? Do they say thank you? Or do they act as if these people are invisible? The way someone treats service workers, the elderly, people with disabilities, or anyone as society sometimes overlooks. This is where their real values live. Do they meet others with warmth, eye contact, and appreciation? Or do they see them as insignificant? There's a saying, the measure of a person is how they treat those who can do nothing for them. Because kindness shouldn't be a performance. Respect shouldn't be reserved for a select few. And if someone can only be kind when it benefits them, that's not kindness, it's strategy. At the end of the day, true character is about how we show up for everyone, not just the people we think matter. Because the truth is, everyone matters. Mistakes are inevitable. Every single one of us will at some point say the wrong thing, make the wrong decision, or hurt someone intentionally or not. But the real test of character isn't in the mistake itself, it's in what happens next. When someone is confronted with being wrong, do they take ownership or do they shift the blame? Do they listen or do they get defensive? Do they try to justify their actions or do they acknowledge the impact? There's a natural instinct in all of us to protect our ego. Admitting fault can feel uncomfortable, even painful. But the strongest people, the ones with real integrity, understand that being wrong isn't a failure. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to build trust. When they mess up, they don't run from it. They don't make excuses. They look you in the eye and say, I was wrong. I see that now. I'm sorry. How can I make this right? On the other hand, watch out for the people who refuse to be accountable. They'll twist the narrative. They'll gaslight. They'll make you feel like you're the problem for even bringing it up. These are the people who care more about protecting their image than repairing their relationships. The truth is, being wrong isn't a weakness. It's a moment of choice. Do we let pride control us, or do we have the courage to own our mistakes? The people who can humbly admit when they're wrong, apologize sincerely, and take real steps to make things right, those are the people you can trust. Because trust isn't built on perfection, it's built on honesty. Character isn't about the moments when the spotlight is on. It's about what happens in the quiet, when no one is keeping score, when there's no applause to be earned. Because when people aren't performing for an audience, that's when you see who they really are. Ask yourself this: if someone had the chance to be kind without being praised, would they still do it? If they could take a shortcut without getting caught, would they take it? If they could help someone without any recognition, would they step up? Integrity is doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing, not because there's a reward attached to it. Some people will show up with generosity and kindness only when it benefits them, when a camera is rolling, when a boss is watching, when there's something to gain. But the real test is when none of that is present. Think about small moments. When they borrow something, do they return it in the same condition or better? When they find money on the ground, do they try to return it or do they pocket it without a second thought? When they make a mistake that no one else noticed, do they correct it or let it slide? Then think about the big moments. When they have power over someone who depends on them, someone who is vulnerable, how do they use it? Do they treat people with respect even when there's no consequence if they don't? People will tell you who they are in the moments when they think no one is paying attention. So pay attention, because true character isn't built in public, it's built in private, in the small, unspoken decisions that no one else sees. Success has a way of revealing people, not just the person achieving it, but the people around them. If you want to see someone's true character, watch how they respond when someone else wins. Do they celebrate with genuine joy, or do they shrink in discomfort? Do they clap for others, or do they start comparing, minimizing, or finding reasons why the success wasn't deserved? A secure person sees someone else's win as inspiration, proof of what's possible. An insecure person sees it as a threat. There's a difference between people who truly support you and people who only support you when you're at their level or lower. Some friendships feel warm and encouraging when you're struggling, but the moment you get a promotion, start a new relationship, or step into something bigger, you notice a shift. They might downplay your success, avoid acknowledging it, or even act irritated by it. That's because their support was conditional. It wasn't about you. It was about their comfort and where they stood in comparison to you. On the other hand, some people don't just tolerate your success, they amplify it. And they're the ones who hype you up, who tell others about your accomplishments, who remind you that you deserve this. These are the people who understand that life isn't a competition, that one person's win doesn't mean another person's loss, that we rise by lifting others. And let's be honest, sometimes we do feel jealousy. That's human. But there's a difference between feeling envy and acting on it. Emotion is natural. Character is what you choose to do with it. Do you let jealousy turn into resentment, or do you acknowledge it, sit with it, and then still show up with kindness and support? Success will show you who's really in your corner. The ones who cheer for you, even when they have nothing to gain, those are the people worth keeping close. Because the way someone reacts to your success tells you everything about their confidence, security, and character. Give someone a little bit of authority, control, or influence, and you'll quickly see their true character. Some will use power to uplift others, to lead with integrity, to create opportunities for those around them. Others will use it to dominate, to control, to make themselves feel bigger by making others feel small. Power can come in many forms. It's not just about a job title or a leadership role. It can be the power a teacher has over a student, the power a boss has over an employee, the power a parent has over a child, or even the power one friend has in a social group. No matter the situation, the question remains the same. What do they do with it? A person with good character sees power as a responsibility, not a weapon. They understand that leadership is about service, not control. They listen more than they speak. They make decisions with fairness and empathy. They create space for others instead of hoarding opportunities for themselves. They don't see power as something that sets them apart. They see it as something that connects them to a greater purpose. But then there are those who let power go straight to their heads. The moment they get a little authority, their tone changes. They become dismissive, arrogant, unwilling to hear feedback. They demand respect rather than earning it. They start to see people as tools, as stepping stones, as a means to an end. They believe that their position makes them untouchable, that they're above accountability. One of the most telling signs of character is how someone treats those under their authority when they don't have to be kind, When there are no consequences for cruelty, do they still choose compassion? When no one is in a position to challenge them, do they still act with fairness? We've all seen it. Leaders who inspire and leaders who intimidate, the difference isn't in their title, it's in their heart. So if you want to know who someone really is, watch them when they have power. Do they use it to build others up or to keep others down? Do they share their influence or do they cling to it out of fear? It's easy to be kind when everything is going well, when life is smooth, when there's no pressure, when there are no obstacles. Most people can show up as their best selves. But the real test of character comes when things aren't easy, when frustration builds, when stress takes over, when things don't go as planned. Watch how someone treats others when they're under pressure, when they're running late, when they're exhausted, when they're overwhelmed, when something goes wrong. That's when you see who they really are. Do they snap at the people around them? Do they take out their frustration on the waiter, the cashier, their employees, their family? Do they lash out at those closest to them, the people who have nothing to do with the situation? Or do they take a deep breath, communicate with patience, and handle their emotions without making others suffer for it? There's a big difference between feeling stress and using stress as an excuse to be cruel. We all have bad days. We all experience moments of frustration. But character isn't about never feeling those emotions. It's about what we do with them. Some people choose to channel their frustration constructively, finding solutions rather than blaming others. Others let stress become a weapon, using it to justify snapping, belittling, or mistreating people. And here's the truth. If someone can only be kind when things are going well, they aren't actually kind. Kindness that disappears under pressure isn't kindness, it's convenience. So pay attention, not to how they act when things are easy, but to how they behave when things get hard. Because anyone can be polite in good times, but real character is revealed in the tough moments, when frustration rises, when patience is tested, when nothing is going their way. Do they stay respectful even when they're upset? Do they own their emotions or do they make other people suffer for them? Do they apologize if they lose their temper or do they act like their reaction was justified? How someone treats others in their worst moments will tell you far more about them than how they act in their best moments. Because stress doesn't create character, it exposes it. Talk is easy, promises are easy, saying the right things, posting the right messages, making grand declarations, those things take little effort. But character, true character, is measured by actions, not words. We've all met people who say all the right things but do the opposite. They preach kindness but act selfishly. They talk about integrity but cut corners when no one is watching. They promise to be there but disappear when you need them. These are the people whose words and actions don't align. And that gap between what they say and what they do is where trust is lost. On the other hand, there are people who don't just say they're honest, they are honest even when the truth is uncomfortable. They don't just talk about loyalty, they show up over and over when it matters. They don't just claim to be kind, they treat everyone with respect even when no one's watching. Consistency is everything. A person's true character isn't in what they say once, it's in what they do over time. Anyone can put on a good front for a day, a week, even months, but watch closely. Do their actions match their words, not just when it's convenient, but when it's difficult? Ask yourself, do they keep their promises, even the small ones? Do they follow through on commitments or do they make excuses? Do they practice what they preach or do their values shift based on what benefits them in the moment? Words might impress in the beginning, but actions always tell the truth in the end. It's not what someone says they'll do, it's what they actually do that defines who they are. So if you want to know someone's real character, don't just listen to their words. Watch their patterns. Pay attention to their follow-through, because what a person does day in and day out will always speak louder than what they say. At the end of the day, character isn't about words, it's about actions. It's about the quiet, consistent choices a person makes when no one is keeping score. If you really want to know who someone is, you don't need years of observation or a list of complicated tests. Just pay attention to 5 things. How they treat those who can do nothing for them, because kindness isn't about status, it's about heart. How they handle being wrong, because integrity isn't about never failing, it's about taking responsibility when you do. What they do when no one is watching, because true character isn't built in public, it's built in private. How they react to someone else's success, because secure people lift others up, while insecure people see success as a threat. How they handle power, because power doesn't corrupt, it simply reveals who they were all along. These 5 things will tell you more about a person than any words ever could. So as you move through life, pay attention, and more importantly, be the kind of person who passes these tests yourself. Because at the end of the day, character isn't just what we see in others, it's what we choose to build within ourselves. Thank you.